Good morning and Happy New Year. I am Christina Felchlin, Consulting and Support Manager with Ledgeview Partners. I'd like to welcome you today to Dynamics 365 User Group webinar featuring creating custom activity feeds and using calculated fields. In today's webinar, we're going to go over creating custom activity fields, what they are, how to configure, and how to create a custom auto post. Then we'll go into calculated fields, why to use them, simple calculations, complex calculations, like adding and subtracting hours, days, weeks, months, or years, or calculating time differences and create calculations. As always, we will answer your pre-submitted questions and then go into our upcoming webinars. For housekeeping, to ensure the best audio quality for all attendees, we have everyone on listen-only mode. If you have a question, please submit those in the question pane of your GoToWebinar control panel. If time allows, we will answer during today's session. If time does not allow, we promise to follow up offline. Like all Ledgeview webinars, today's webinar is being recorded and will be available on demand after the live session. All registered attendees will receive an email this afternoon with an access link to the recording as well as the presentation slides. Today we welcome back our presenter, Michael Dodds, Support Consultant with Ledgeview Partners.
Thank you, Christina, for that wonderful introduction. Hope everybody is having a great day. It's a new year, and that means we got some brand new topics to cover. These are some really exciting topics, so let's jump into them. First, we're going to talk about activity feeds. Activity feeds are also known as posts. So that leads to the question, what is an activity feed? Well, the activity feed shows various items that you have completed. They've been completed on your records or on records that you follow. And simply what that means is, if you have an opportunity that's related to an account that you own, if someone creates an opportunity or if they close an opportunity, there's going to be a post generated that's going to tell you about this. Also, if you follow an account, you don't own it, but you follow it, which is a feature within CRM, you'll be able to see this information, see those posts about opportunities being created or closed and things of that nature. What shows is completely dependent on how you configure it. And then any item you complete, contacts that you've created, accounts that you've created, leads that you've qualified, that information is also going to show in what's called the What's New section. The What's New section is where all these posts are housed. Now, the different types of posts that you can do are auto posts. Those are the actions completed. So like a lead being qualified, an account being opened, opportunity being closed, things of that nature. You can also do a user post, which is just like posting to a Facebook wall. You're making a comment and you're posting it to that record. And then if you own the record or you follow the record, you're going to see that user post as well. So it's a really nice feature of integrating, instant messaging somewhat, like on social media, along with auto posts. So you're not clogging your email, you're reducing the clutter. So you have one place to go to find all of this great information, but not necessarily important enough to get a notification through your email. Now, I said all this depends on how you configure it. So your next question might be, how do I configure this? To configure an activity feed, and we're going to do this in CRM, I just want to cover a quick few items first. You're going to want to navigate to the Settings section and then Activity Feed Configuration. You can activate the post configurations you desire. There's going to be a list of them that are configured by the system by CRM. You cannot add new post configurations. There is a workaround, however, and that would be kind of through a workflow that we'll also show you later. Whenever you activate these post configurations, however, you're also activating the associated rules. If there's a rule on there that you really don't want to use, you can deactivate it. You can't add new rules, though. There's also going to be a section that says leave wall enabled. When you leave it enabled, what it means is the post tab on the record is going to show in the social pane. If you disable it, however, you can take the post tab away. And I'll show all of this to you in CRM. Please note, if you do anything with the wall, changing it from enabled to disabled, you're going to want to publish your customizations. So let's jump into CRM. This is your What's New section. So you can see here, there was an opportunity here created by Christina for this account. Christina owns this account. The reason I can see this is because I follow the account, so I can see this information. Now for configuration, we're going to go to Settings, Activity Feeds Configuration. So it's going to show here the status, whether it's active or inactive. We're going to want to find one that's currently inactive, so opportunities is inactive. So if you decide, I really want to be notified when an opportunity is created, you're going to jump into the configuration. These are all the rules. So one of them is when a new opportunity is created for an account, you're going to see that post configuration. So you're going to see that information on the account. To activate this and all the rules, just simply click Activate. This does take about 10 seconds to do. The reason for it is it's activating all of the rules, it's activating the opportunity, so it does take a little bit of time. Now that it's activated, we already have the wall enabled. So that means the post section is going to appear on this record. Now what I want to show you real quick is if you decide one of these rules doesn't really apply to you, there's a way to remove this or deactivate it. However, that is not through this trash can button. This is deleting it. You're going to delete the rule. And since you can't add new post configuration rules, it's gone forever. So what you want to do is you want to click here on the list icon, check mark the rule you want to deactivate, click the deactivate button, and the confirm deactivate. So then it will deactivate the button or the rule. As you can see, it's no longer active. Now let's jump into opportunities. I'm going to show you what the post section looks like. So if we go back to sales and we go to opportunities, and we're just going to take a look at any record. And once it opens, here's your social pane section. Here's your posts. I own this account or this opportunity. I can type in a post. So if I want to do hello, that's what a user post would look like. This is a system post or an auto post. Now I'm going to show you what it would like if it disabled that wall section in the post configuration, what your social pane will look like. So if we go to contacts, we're just going to take a look at any contact record. And you're going to see no post section. That means it's been disabled. So you would want to go into post configuration and enable that for the contact section. Now, let's say you have a custom entity that you'd really like to put post configurations for. You want to have posts auto-generated. But since you can't add a post configuration, how do you get around that? There's a really unique, very interesting way to do that. And how you would do it is through a workflow. So you want to create a workflow, set the workflow entity. So when you choose, account, contacts, etc., as the entity of the workflow, you want to set that for the custom entity for the post. So in our case, let's say we created a custom quote entity. That's what we're going to set as our entity right here. Most important part about this is the workflow trigger and conditions, because that's going to tell you what the post is going to be about. So if a quote is ever won for an opportunity and we want to post that information, our trigger needs to be when the record status is changed, so it's changed to 1, and we want to set a condition if the quote status equals 1. If those two meet, then we want to make this post. So then all our condition or our action is creating a brand new post. So you just do create record and then choose post. When you hit set properties, the text is going to be what the post actually states. So a way to do this is to write the quote and then dynamically pull the quote name, as we're doing right here, has been closed as 1 for opportunity, and then dynamically pull the opportunity name. Since we're treating this more as an auto post or a system post, we're going to set the source as auto post. And then you can have this post regard an opportunity, the quote itself, any record or associated record, the entity of quote or associated entity. So I left this on here so in case you decide to configure something like this in your org, this is the general setup that you would want to go through. And that's all for the activity feeds portion. And the next portion I want to jump into is using a calculated field. Calculated fields are one of my favorite fields in CRM, and I know it's kind of weird that I have a favorite field type, but I actually do. Calculated fields help you calculate information without doing it manually. The system does it for you. All you have to do is set it up once, and it will do it for you all the time. Why you may want to use that? There's various and many, many reasons to use it, but some of the more popular, more simplistic reasons are how long a record has been opened. So let's say you're a sales manager and you want to know how long it's taking users or your salespeople to close records. You can show how long a record has been open or how long it's taken between the created on date and the actual close date. You can compare that and give a whole number as to how long it took. You can also, the total discount applied to an opportunity, if you have a discount percentage, you can have that times by the estimated value, and then you know how much your discount for the overall opportunity would be. See the accuracy of our estimated values when we're estimating what an opportunity is. How accurate are we? So we can compare the difference between the estimated amount and the actual closed amount of an opportunity. You can also prorate the amount the customer will purchase for the year. This is kind of a two-stepper, and it would only work for businesses that more have people purchasing on a month-by-month basis. But let's say they purchase in the middle of the year. If you have a field that shows how many months are left in the year, you can take the actual value times or divided by the amount of months left in the year. That will give you a prorated amount of how much the purchase will come in for the remainder of the year. Then you can also calculate the total value of an item, so the quantity times the unit price. As long as you have these fields set up in CRM, we can calculate a field for them. Another really cool thing about calculated fields, you can set a condition. For an estimated value, or that example where we're saying the difference between an estimated amount and an actual amount, it's not going to do you any good if there isn't an estimated value and there isn't an actual value. So you can set it to only calculate when those two fields have data. And this is very similar to a business rule where you're setting a condition and then an action. Just like a business rule, you also have the else if statement. So you can create a calculation based on certain parameters and then do a calculation. If it doesn't meet those parameters, you can set up a completely different calculation for the same field. So it's basically killing two birds with one stone. You're getting two calculations based on two conditions in one calculated field. Why they're so great is because it allows you to automate the calculation of important information and restrict the calculation based on various parameters without needing to enforce those rules because the system will be doing it for you. With all calculations, there's simple calculated fields and more complex. The simple calculated fields are addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and equals. So basic things that you learned in elementary school. So addition, you can add two fields together or add a specified amount to a field. Addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division cannot be used on date and time field because addition and subtraction are used more in a complex, it has its own type of formula that it uses. So subtraction, you can subtract a field from one another or subtract a specified amount. Same for multiplication and division. Equal simply means you're setting one field to equal another. Not commonly used in calculated fields, but it is a way to do it. Complex calculations. Now I promise you these are not as complex as the gentleman in the lower right-hand corner has, much, much simpler. You can add or subtract hours, days, weeks, months, years. Those are the different options that you have. So if you want to add a specified amount of time to a date and time field, so say the created on date, and you want to add 5 days to it, you would use that to the calculated fields and adding days. One thing to note here, when you're setting up a date and time field, the behavior must match. So the calculated field's behavior, which is user local, date only, or date only, those need to match the date and time field being used in the calculation. If they don't match, you will get an error. A newer one in Dynamics CRM 2015 Update 1 or newer is the difference in time. So you can do difference in days, weeks, months, years, hours. So you can do the same thing with add or subtract, but you're doing the difference between two date and time fields. Again, those date and time fields must have the same behavior, otherwise you will get an error. And the calculated field must be a whole number. As long as it's set up that way, you'll be able to pull the difference in time. And now there's also a calculation called now. It's not like add or subtract or difference in time. It's more used within the calculation. So if you wanted to do the difference in time between the created on date and now, you could do that. It's going to look at, let's say the created on date was 1/1/17. Now is 1/20/17. So it's going to pull the difference between the two. And you can also set a calculated field to equal today's date. That could be used really, really nicely in workflows. So if you set up a calculated field to equal now and use it in a workflow, because now you have the actual now time frame. So it's a really nice feature like that. Concat is really interesting. You can take 3 different single line of text fields and basically smush them together. So if you have 3 separate fields where you feel, it would be really nice if I pull all that information into one field. Concat will let you do that. All fields, including the calculated field, must be set up as single line of text fields. If they're not, it will fail. Trim left, trim right. Simply what you're doing is you're taking a single line of text field and you're trimming it from the left to the right or the right to the left. A common use case for this would be a telephone number, or more commonly, if you have social security numbers in your system and you want to pull them out into a view, but you really only want to show the last 4 digits of the social security number, you can use trim left to trim the first 5 fields. So it would be 5 trimmed in from left, and then you would only show the last 4. So that's a really common use for it. Next, we're going to jump into actually creating some calculated fields. So this is going to be the actual calculation portion. So let's jump into CRM, and I'll show you how easy this is. To do this, we're going to go into the Opportunities entity, and we're going to go into the Form section. So if we click on Form, and this will pull up our form editor. Once this loads, on the right-hand side here is New Field. When you click on New Field, you have to create the field before you start to edit the calculation. So we're going to name this Demo Calculation. And what we're going to do first is we're going to calculate the difference in time between the created on date and now. So to do that, we have to set this up as a whole number. So our data type must be whole number, and we're going to set our field type as calculated. Then we're going to click Edit. Looks like I already had a field by that name. I apologize. I just needed to edit the name field. Once I do that, it's going to let me create the field and pull into the calculation section. This does just take a minute because it's finishing the field and opening up the calculated field portion. So we're going to pull this information over, and it's just going to finish loading. And we're going to go down to the Action section. And what we're going to do is we're going to go diff, and we're doing diff in days. So that's the difference in days. In between the 2 parentheses, we want to put in our start date and our end date. Our start date is the created on field, comma, space. Then we want to just put in now. Once we click now, then we click the check mark. The check mark will tell you if it's going to work correctly or not. It's basically checking the formula for you. So this confirms that it's going to work correctly. Then the next thing that we're going to do is we're actually going to create a brand new field. So we're going to click Save and Close. And then you would click Save and Close here, so you now have your new demo calculation. We're going to create a new field. The reason I need to create a new field is because we're doing a different type of field. We're going to be doing currency as opposed to a whole number. So this is going to be our currency calculation. We're going to change this to currency for data type and then calculated. Then we'll click on calculated. And then we're going to create two different calculated fields here. So once this finishes loading, we'll click on Add Action. The first one we're going to do is we're going to calculate the amount of a discount on the opportunity. So there is a field called discount percentage. However, discount percentage is put in the system as a whole number. It's not an actual decimal that we're entering. Because we're doing that, we want to put this in parentheses, divide by 100. So probably everyone's harkening back to math class on this one. So we're going to do estimated value times the discount percentage divided by 100. So if we put them in parentheses, it's going to perform that action first, then do estimated value times that. And then you just simply click the check mark. That's how you can determine the overall discount for the entire opportunity. The next one that we're going to do is we're actually going to set a condition first. So if we look up here at condition, I'm going to close out of here and click on condition. We want to set the entity to be the current entity. What we're doing for this one is we're going to calculate the difference between estimated revenue and actual revenue. We only want to do this when the status of the opportunity is 1. So that's going to be our condition. So status equals 1. Check mark. Then we're going to adjust our calculation. We're going to calculate the difference between the estimated revenue and the actual revenue. So all we're going to do is estimated revenue, estimated value. Excuse me, we're going to start with actual value because that's usually going to be higher and that's what we want to figure out. So we'll do actual value minus estimated value. And that's simply all you have to do. Check mark, save and close. Now you're able to figure out that information. Now we're going to do one more calculation, and that's the concat one, where we're taking 3 single line of text fields and moving them all together. So we're going to do a single line text calculation. Single line of text needs to be our data type, calculated for the field type, edit. This one's really nice and it's actually really simple to set up. So once this finishes loading, what we'll do is we're going to click on Add Action again. And we're going to start off with our type of formula. And that type of formula is called concat. So we're going to start typing in concat. And as you see here, it's a single line of text, single line of text, single line of text. So we finish doing that, we click on it, and then we start adding in our field names. So the field names that we have are the needs field, comma, the need by date, and then the budget field. Basically what this will do is it will take all 3 of these fields and push them into this new calculated field. And click the check mark, that confirms that it will work. And then click on Save and Close. And then you always want to make sure that you do Save and Publish. And I'm going to show you how one of these ended up working. So if we do Save and Close, if we come down here and we take a look at our discount percentage, and we type in, say, 10, We're looking at $1,000 estimated revenue. We're going to save that, and then we're going to pull up here to our demo calculation. There's our overall discount percentage, 10% of 1,000. So that's how the calculation field would work. And then I left these up so in case you ever decide to use this or just want a refresher on how to set up the different types of calculated fields, this shows you the different setups and formulas. That's all for our main topics for today. Let's jump into some user-submitted questions. Our first question is, how can we integrate e-signature features into our process? And also, how can we collect website communication into our CRM field web funnel, lead generation versus manual edits? Fantastic question. An e-signature or gaining a signature in CRM is possible through customization and also utilizing a third-party tool. So this would be more along the lines of a project with a partner. Ledgeview Partners has done many of these, and we can definitely help out with this. Third-party, it usually has a fee with a third-party tool along with doing the customization. Regarding the ability to take information from your website and move it to CRM, there are 3 really good options. There can be a custom integration that, again, Ledgeview Partners has a lot of experience doing this. This would need the ability to be hosted on a server that you host, or an Azure service which has a fee-based use for using its services, and it acts like a server. Otherwise, there is act-on and click dimensions that you can integrate. They integrate right into CRM. So this is something that a partner like ourselves can help out with in terms of the integration. And then there's also a fee with act-on and click dimensions. But those are the 3 best options. And it's all dependent on what you're using it for, how many emails you're sending, what the use case is, and that's something that working with a partner like Ledgeview Partners can help to analyze and understand what would work best. Our next question is, what's the difference and use cases for using one-to-N relationships, N-to-one relationships, and N-to-N relationships? Many of you might be thinking, okay, what is he talking about? These different setups here, it means the different relation types in CRM and how CRM defines it. So a one-to-N relationship means one-to-many. The N means many. A use case for this is accounts to contacts. One account can have many contacts. So if you're in the primary entity, it's usually going to have an associated subgrid, and it will have an associated view if there's that relationship, that you can see all the related contacts. One really cool use in this is the data mapping that you can do. It can pull information over from the primary to the newly created record, as long as you create that record from the primary entity. So it can pull over information. Leads, when you qualify them to like an account, contact, and opportunity, that uses data mapping. N-to-one relationships are many-to-one. So it's simply a reverse of the one-to-many. Opportunities to accounts. There can be multiple or many opportunities for one account. The way it links back or associates is through a lookup field back to that account. And last, many-to-many relationships, N-to-N. Those are less common, but there still are quite a few. Leads and competitors is a definite use case for this. One lead can have many competitors, and that different leads can have the same competitors. Competitors can have many different leads, so that's why it's a many-to-many relationship. The way they're shown is each record would have a table, subgrid, or associated view on the record reflecting that list of associated records. So competitors would show leads, leads would show competitors. Our next question is, why is it that on the account screen cannot be moved over by a hair? And what he's referring to is the global search screen. It cannot be moved over by a hair to see the extra information. I am forever required to open accounts just to see if they are the accounts I want to be working on. And that's an excellent question. When I looked into this user's information into their CRM, what I noticed is that they have the second column in what their quick find view is. The global search reflects the first three columns of the quick find view or your search view, and it puts them in order. What's great about the primary or the first column is that if you hover over it, it shows in wrap text the entire name, where it will not do that for the bottom two. So the way to work around this systematically would be to go in to customize the system, click on the arrow next to entities, and in this case, the arrow next to the account or any other entity that you need to update this for. Click on Views, open the Quick Find view right here, and then just edit the columns. The columns will show up first, so you won't need to click on Edit Columns. Just click on the account name and move it to the first column, save and publish. Our next question is, I would like to learn how to create views that will show counts of records based on criteria. For example, if an account name is in the system multiple times, I like to show that in a view so the user will know which records to investigate duplicates. Fantastic question. However, views do not have the same logic as a duplicate detection job. There's not a way to, systematically, there's not a way to show me all records that have the same name. So to get around this within the system without any special customizations, I recommend doing a recurring duplicate detection job. You can do this every 7, 30, 90, 180, or 365 days. I recommend 7 in this case. And when you do this, set the owner to equal the user. So you'll want to set one up for each user, for each entity they need to do it for. Set the run this job every 7 days, then send an email to them. If you're the one setting it up for them, you'll get the email as well. But if you check the send an email to, and then also notify the user. If you had them set it up, don't worry about filling this out. It'll just send the email to them. Our next question is, how do I get started with custom SSRS reports and linking those into Dynamics? Fantastic question. If you're getting started with SSRS reports, one thing that I highly recommend is to contact your Ledgeview account executives to learn more about the training offerings and learning more about SSRS reporting. Regarding linking them, for CRM Online, the option to do that is to upload them into Dynamics if they're created using FetchXML. Now to do that, you want to download the CRM report authoring extensions for FetchXML-based reports, then you can connect them to the CRM database. That's how you'll be able to link them. For CRM on-premise organizations, you can do the same for FetchXML, but if you're looking to do more of an advanced report, you can create those using SQL-based SSRS reports. These reports would just simply connect into the CRM database directly.
Thank you, Michael, for the great content. Thank you to the users who submitted those wonderful questions. Please know that Ledgeview is here to help you in whatever way we can. We can help with additional training, user or administrator, user adoption, single sign-on, Office 365, upgrade diagnostics, marketing automation, inside sales, services, and much more. Please continue to ask your CRM Dynamics 365 questions to help make these webinars successful. Our next Dynamics 365 User Group webinar will be Friday, February 17th at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. Our topics for next month are sharing personal views, document templates, and setting default values. Another upcoming webinar is creating a successful lead generation and sales development strategy. This 30-minute free webinar will take place on Thursday, February 2nd at 11:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. We will provide tips and best practices, including trends, metrics, and more, to align marketing and sales team around a strategy using sales development representatives that will bridge the lead qualification gap. On behalf of myself, Michael, and all of us at Ledgeview, we thank you for taking the time to attend our user group webinar today. We look forward to seeing you on the next webinar. Have a great day.